Hello and welcome back to the Unheard-of channel. Today, we're diving deep into the Semra Aysal case that unfolded in Turkey back in 2018. Hakan and Semra Aysal, a Turkish couple who had been together for several years. At the time of the incident, Hakan was 41 and Semra, 33, was 7 months pregnant. On June 19, 2018, Semra was persuaded by her husband to scale a cliff for a photo op. They were vacationing in Fethiye, situated in the province of Muğla, in southeastern Turkey. This cliff was part of their trip itinerary, renowned for its breathtaking view. Tragically, after agreeing to ascend the cliff, Semra fell nearly 1,000 feet onto the rocks below. As Hakan raised the alarm about his wife's fall, multiple rescue teams raced to the scene, but by the time they arrived, it was too late. Semra and the unborn child she was carrying did not survive. Authorities reported that she had passed away during the firefighters' valiant rescue attempt. Throughout the rescue efforts, Hakan seemed utterly devastated. Witnesses claimed he was inconsolable, repeatedly saying he couldn't imagine life without Semra. Autopsy results showed that Semra had no alcohol or drugs in her system that could have impaired her judgment and lead to her fall. Her death was attributed to the multiple fractures she sustained after crashing onto jagged rocks. Mourners gathered in Istanbul for Semra's funeral, where Hakan still appeared to be in deep anguish. However, despite Hakan's profound display of grief, suspicions arose surrounding the circumstances of Sarah's fall. Their suspicions were stalked when a tourist who had been near the cliff that fateful day remembered capturing a video that featured the couple. The footage seemed to show Hakan behaving suspiciously. Handing the footage over to the authorities, the investigation took a startling turn. And as if that weren't enough, shortly after his wife's death, Hakan hurriedly tried to claim a life insurance policy in Semra's name. His repeated attempts to withdraw the money, a sum of 400,000 Turkish liras, roughly $14,000, with himself as the sole beneficiary, raised even more red flags. This prompted legal action, with prosecutors suggesting that Hakan had meticulously planned everything around this insurance payout. Although formally charged, Hakan remained free as investigators delved deeper, hunting for concrete evidence. It was only in November of 2020, 2 years post the tragic event, that Hakan Aysal was arrested under suspicion of pushing Semra to her death. Upon his arrest, Hakan was dispatched to the Institute of Forensic Medicine in Istanbul. There, he underwent a series of psychiatric evaluations. Preliminary observations by some doctors found no indication of any mental disorders, though the final sanity report remains undisclosed. Subsequently, Hakan's defense used the absence of this mental evaluation to challenge the psychiatric analysis and claimed he indeed had a mental condition. Law enforcement pointed to a possible motive: the 400,000 Turkish lira life insurance policy in Semra's name. Investigations uncovered that Hakan had signed the insurance contracts himself without his wife being present. According to the officers, since the couple was well known to their bank, the transaction was approved without any questions. Intriguingly, it was discovered that the couple had sat near the cliff's edge for almost 3 hours. Once Hakan felt certain they were alone, he allegedly pushed Semra off. Minutes before the tragic act, the husband had taken photos with his wife, in one of which he can be seen grinding wildly. Investigators also found out that Semra was acrophobic, terrified of heights. She had been reluctant about the outing and needed persuading by Hakan to get close to the cliff's edge for a selfie, just moments before she was pushed. After pushing Semra, Hakan waited a few minutes before calling for help, aware that each passing minute lessened her chances of being rescued alive. In his initial statement to the police, Hakan Aysal claimed that Semra had slipped while they were taking photos, suggesting her fall was a tragic accident. He narrated that after taking a selfie, she asked to him to retrieve her phone for her purse. When he got up to get it, he heard her scream and turned to see all already plummeting from the cliff. After his arrest, he faced criminal charges of premeditated murder. On February 15, 2021, Hakan Aysal stood trial at the Feytiya Criminal Court. Prosecutors alleged that Hakan had taken out the life insurance policy with premeditated intent 2 months before their marriage and without Semra's knowledge or consent. The prosecution painted a picture of a man who lured his pregnant wife from Kusadasi, where they were vacationing, to Feytiya, using the excuse of celebrating a holiday with his brother. In Feytiya, Hakan persuaded Semra to climb up to the cliff with him, already intent on staging an accident. However, Hakan's defense team contended there was lack of concrete evidence proving they committed the crime. They emphasized the ambiguity surrounding the case, asserting it was not enough to convict. Despite their arguments, a jury majority sentenced Hakan Aysal to life imprisonment. Post-sentencing, Hakan maintained his innocence, pointing to mental health issues. Shortly after the verdict, his defense appealed the decision. The appeal was initially rejected, but the defense was granted 50 days to challenge the decision further. Then came a significant twist in the trial. The defense argued that without an official mental health report on Hakan, the conviction should be invalidated. The appeals court accepted this and nullified the life sentence, ordering a retrial. In response, Istanbul's Forensic Medicine Institute stated that they had indeed conducted an evaluation, concluding that Hakan was fully aware of his actions when he took his wife and unborn child's lives. However, the appellate court found that the report was drafted by the wrong agency and Hakan's legal rights weren't fully upheld. Thus, by unanimous decision, the life sentence was overturned. Hakan Aysal's sentence annulment sent shockwaves throughout Turkey, and eventually in other countries were somewhere closely following the case. Several news outlets reported that he was attempting to escape punishment by claiming mental illness. The British newspaper The Mirror extensively covered the crime's proceedings, stating that Aysal pushed his pregnant wife off a cliff for life insurance money, while also challenging his punishment. News Media Empire also ran a story on the case, suggesting that Hakan was making a calculated move to evade prison. Because of the media frenzy, Hakan faced backlash from numerous people on social media who were engrossed by the story. In response, he decided to sue everyone who defamed him, aiming to extract as much money as possible from these individuals to fund his defense. According to Turkish media, Aysal hoped to claim about 5,000 liras from each individual who insulted him online. One of his targets was a 39-year-old woman identified as Talha. On Facebook, she wrote about the need to end Hakan's life slowly, so he would suffer more. She further expressed that a life sentence wasn't enough for that bastard. Upon receiving a lawsuit notice, Talha declined to settle, leading to the case's continuation against her. Whether she was eventually convicted remains unknown. It wasn't specified how many people Hakan sued or how many settled out of court, but reports suggest the number surpassed 10. Subsequently, a new trial date was set for Hakan Aysal. In this retrial, Semra's brother Naim and attorneys from both sides were present in court. In his statement, the prosecutor debunked the defendant's claim that he took his pregnant wife to the cliff and she fell accidentally. He pushed for Hakam's resentencing to life imprisonment for the heinous crime. Yet again, Aysal professed his innocence, denying any wrongdoing. His defense attorneys also countered the claim that he tried to withdraw the insurance money soon after the incident. The bank employee who pursued the life insurance that Hakan signed on behalf of his wife testified in court. She confirmed Hakan came to the bank alone for the insurance. She couldn't recall his reason for coming without his wife, but signed it on her behalf anyway. She reasoned that since Hakan and Semra were well-known bank clients, the transaction went through with staff approval. Hakan Aysal, however, contended that his wife was with him at the bank and that the employee, now a witness, filed out the documentation, not him. During the trial, Semra's brother told the court that she was against loans of any imprudent spending. According to the victim's brother, this would serve as yet another piece of evidence showing how Hakan used his wife's name to gain financial benefits without her knowledge. Bank recorders procured by the police revealed that Hakan took out 7 loans in his wife's name prior to the crime, all without her knowledge. After the crime, he indulged in luxury, jet skiing, cross-country trips, and stays at top-tier hotels. Hakan's trial spanned several days with numerous testimonies. In the interim, he underwent a mental evaluation that determined he had no mental disorders. In the end, Hakan Aysal was, once again, sentenced to life imprisonment. Upon announcing the verdict, the presiding judge declared that Hakan must serve a minimum of 30 years before being eligible for parole. Presently, Hakan Aysal resides in a Turkish prison, where he will spend the foreseeable future. And that concludes the tragic story of Semra Aysal, a pregnant woman whose life was brutally taken by her husband, all for the payout of a life insurance policy. Thank you very much for watching me to the end, and if you liked the video, please leave a like to help me out. Best wishes, and we'll see you next time.